Hello, hello. Welcome to the Clarity Hotline. Let's get Instagram on the line. I have no earrings on. I'm trying to decide, do I like them on? Let's try it. Let's see. Hmm, I think we're gonna go no earring today. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. We got a lot to talk about. Oh my gosh, Instagram's not even on. Just kidding. Just we're going live. It's not a big deal. Is what I meant to say. It's not a big deal. We got this. Welcome, Instagram and YouTube, to the Clarity Hotline. We are live, and let's do this. Let me pull my notes. Always have something not ready, right? At least that's my story. I do have my boo in the other room, my little guy, my 4-year-old. He's been homesick all week. So when in the beginning stages of him just not feeling well, like my whole world is upside down. I hate when my boys are sick. So uh it was an interesting week to see kind of how I rose to the occasion of having him home. And even this morning, we were like, "I think you're good. You're gonna go to preschool today." And in the car, he sneezed and coughed, and I was like, "No, no," because I just feel like he's vulnerable. Like his immunity is vulnerable. I recognize, okay, as I hear myself, I recognize the level to which I want to control the outcome for my kids. Like I recognize that. Okay. I'm saying it here. I'm being completely honest that yeah, I just want the best for them. And like that, I know that that's my vision for them, like the best for them. I don't know what that is, right? Because I don't know what they want. And so you can want the best for them, but what it requires is that you step back and allow it because God knows best, right? And they're communicating together, my sons and God, and they've got their own, right, relationship going on. And if anything, what I do to foster that is my own relationship with God and just answering their questions and um, being completely honest and talking with them about things about God and praying, like and so we're talking things through, and it'll just kind of progress and develop as we get older, right? And as they get older and ask different questions and have their own realization. So I recognize that I am. Uh, well, I will say this. Uncoupling has taught me to really release control and really where I am still holding control, like where I'm still hoping for control with my kids, um, as far as their experience through all of this. And yeah, because immediately when he got sick, I was like, oh, I didn't do this. I did this, da, 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 right. And I kind of blamed myself for what happened. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with taking a lot of responsibility for what happens to them right now, especially when I'm the decision maker, right? The ultimate decision maker. So I'm not going to pretend to like remove myself from ownership in that regard because I recognize that I'm owning being a mom, right? I'm owning being their mother and their caretaker and their homemaker, and they're part of their provider, the group that provides for them, right? Their village, the people who look after them and want the best for them too. And so, yeah, I just have to step back. I've had to step so far back, not far, like I'm using, this is very emotional is what, when I say very far back, because it's not physical, right? I'm not stepping away and letting them cross the street on their own. I definitely still have them near me. But my oldest will want to cross the street alone, and he's starting to show those signs of independence, and I'm here for it. I appreciate him for that, and um, I want to still kind of hold him to my chest, and be who he needs still. And I recognize that that's slowly unraveling his desire for that. However, what's not unraveling is his desire for love and affection. And I notice that never wanes, right? We're constantly seeking love and affection in the form of attention and attention and affection, I would say, really. Like that's kind of our signal to our brain that, hell, oh, okay, hold on, everybody, here it is, the moment we've been waiting for. Get ready, everyone. And it's like, oh, like being held by mom. And when you just want to call home, it's like, I just wanted to hear my mom's voice. That kind of thing is what, I want for them. I want them to have that safe place, I guess, in the long run when you don't know who to turn to, right? And I don't want even that. I don't want like the bridges to be burned for them, and I don't want them to feel very alone that they need to call home. And at the same time, if that were to happen, I want them to know I'm here. So yeah, I think it's constant um juggle with wanting them to know that you're here and also being okay being on their own, right? They don't need me. And that's important that we share the conversation with that topic as well, not only about me, right? And mommy's importance in your life and family's importance in your life and all of that. I think that's a worthwhile conversation and one that should be had. And I hope they feel, right, that sense of connection with their family and who they call home. And then also on the flip side is kind of like, well, you are okay on your own too. And it's like, "Oh, I don't wanna say that because they're," so maybe there's a time frame within which to say that or start to introduce that topic, but you don't want them to think like, "Okay, he's, all okay on his own. Hi, Mish." And, like, he's okay on his own, and he's, like, runs off, and, you don't want that because you're like, "Oh, no, he's gonna be a runaway," but no, not if home is safe and loving and warm and peaceful, in terms of like his emotional well-being. And so while they're growing up, I'm very much aware of like, well, this is what we established, this is the energy in the home that I hope to have be dominant in their lives, right? Because this is part of their upbringing. Well, anyway, that was just some of like the thoughts that I was with this week. But I will say that I'm learning a lot as far as relinquishing control, right, of my kids. And it comes with age, it comes with my age, it comes with their age, and our kind of progression in our relationship, and the dynamic and the symbiosis and the synergy, and right, and how it will evolve. So I don't know. Anywho, so let's ground, breathe in and out, breathe in and out, just grounding down, coming present, being here right now. Uh, and if you're new here, this is a uniform. I wear this every single week, and it's something that I do intentionally, deliberately to lighten my mental load as a mom. So you will always see me in this for the Clarity Hotline, at least for now. This is what works for me. And it keeps the Clarity Hotline a pleasure to do. I love going live on YouTube and Instagram. I love it. I love engaging and having kind of this back and forth. I love serving in this way. And so as long as it stays light, if we keep it light, it will always be light. It's the minute we start adding more to our plate that things stop being light. And so I would say like we add to our lives when we get down to basics, when we get down to the root of it all, and we understand where we're coming from. It's easy to find your minimum, right? Your zero, your ground zero. And from there you start to add. And my motto is add slowly, right? Add slowly, curate slowly and intentionally and deliberately, knowing that with that you bring into your life brings so much more, so much charge and um, so much connotation, baggage, clutter, right? And be quick to remove and slow to add is what I would say. Just be willing to let go. And that actually brings us to the question. So I have two questions that came up when I was watching. Okay, I am so sorry. The person who asked, "Is it all about money?" We're going to answer that next week because I got a couple questions in about money, and I was like, let's just make a money episode, like where we're talking all money questions. Can we do that next week? Is that okay? Um, the questions I want to answer today actually can't come from a podcast. So if you watch Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett, and if you watch Keke Palmer's new podcast, Baby, This is Keke Palmer, it's probably my favorite new podcast ever after Serial. Remember back in the day, Serial? And then the early days of Crime Junkie. So the early days of Crime Junkie when it was like storytelling and juicy stories. I hate saying that about true crime, but great storyteller, Ashley Flowers. Anyway, her early days of Crime Junkie, those were like, whoa, these are such good podcasts. And I don't even listen to a lot of podcasts, so I'm sure there's a lot out there that are excellent. So feel free to make a recommendation. But why I love Keke's is because she's such a light in the world, and what she finds the ability to do easily and effortlessly is to bring out the light and the bright in other people. And I'm just really fond of that in her. Like, I really think she's the next media mogul. She's so talented in all different areas of life. Like, she's following in Oprah's footsteps. She interviewed Oprah, and on that episode, they had such a really dynamic conversation about worth and freedom. And because Keke is a 30-something-year-old mom, I believe single mom, and not without support. Like, we're not saying single mom like me. I'm not saying that like as if I don't have support. I don't say that. Keke is, I'm sure, at the point in her life where she's. This is what I would wager a guess on, is that she is well aware of how she can, well, maybe not. Okay. She's young. She's 30. That comes with age. Let's see. What can I say about Keke? I feel like she's definitely like a sign of the times coming in, like the ushering in of a new generation. Like within 20 to 30 years, we're going to see the world change a lot, like a brand new world. It's going to feel like that. Like, her contemporaries are, billionaire Kylie Jenner, billionaire Haley Bieber, like they're, and not even mentioning the 30 somethings in Silicon Valley and crypto and AI. I mean, like, let's just be real, what's going to happen right now, right? So I'm just watching. But it is going to be to see the rise of women too, kind of in these really decision making roles, like not really letting anything stop them in their lives in an effort to bring about what they want to see in the world, like what they want to create in the world, is really powerful, right? I think that's going to like quadruple the speed at which we go, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing. Um, Actually, it's only a good thing, but it can be a bad thing when lost of its lost when consciousness is lost, when context is lost, because there's this idea of like celebrity being, whoa, they're just, oh my gosh, celebrity, and she's a celebrity in her own right. I think she's tapping so many industries with talent that she's being recognized as an equal, right, to many different people in different fields. And her in kind of the podcast game, it puts her in media mogulness, right? She's kind of in that. And I know what she wants for herself based on the interview with Oprah. What she wants for herself is kind of like what Oprah has. Oprah's always inspired her. And so I know that's kind of what she's tracking. But anywho, you've got like, the 30 something talking to the 70 something woman who's found freedom, probably the freedom, the likes of like what I imagine Rhonda Byrne has. Um, she's the author of The Secret. Eckhart Tolle, Michael Singer. I imagine, right? Because Oprah will say clearly that publicly, that she has like found freedom on multiple levels and kind of like this cyclical ascension toward more freedom. and all the while really staying true to herself and what she wanted in life. And so that's kind of what she's followed. And she was like, she told Kiki, she said, your future's so bright. Did she say I gotta wear shades? I feel like, what did she say? Something really sweet to Kiki. She's like, your future is so bright, like because she's just she's a powerhouse as far as like going after that ambition. And um her being a single mom and kind of navigating that, she did ask the question, and this is actually where we're getting to. The question that she asked were a couple things. So she asked Oprah, um, what did she ask verbatim? How do you know what freedom really is to you? And when it's time to lay back, like not have to put the pedal to the metal and go, go, go. Because I do feel like she's in that phase of her life where it is very driven by the masculinity, the results, the fame, the fortune, the vanity metrics, the metrics. But I think we all are right in our 20s. I think it kind of sets the course. It's like we're on our own. It's kind of this symbolic rite of passage into our 20s. Like we're on our own. Let's prove ourselves to whatever group dominates our awareness right now and is in our environment, our immediate proximity. Let's what can I prove to these people, right? There's that. And then like into the 30s, there's like what was I even doing? And kind of like let me figure this out. Let's be really focused on career, making a way. If you have kids, making a life. And then it goes on from there. Well, I love that she asks that question because it's something we all probably ask ourselves at every single age, every single stage of life and, career. How do you know what freedom really is to you and when it's time to lay back? And so Oprah says, I knew, like I journaled on the set of Color Purple, what is a peaceful life for me? What does freedom mean to me, or something like that? And it was something like a beautiful home with loving people around me, like beautiful things around me, beautiful things around me. Um, and I think she had it all along, right? And so that is what it is. Where I think was what I think was missed in that answer was like, how do you know what freedom really is to you and when it's time to lay back? I believe the peace is what allows us to lay back as we're still kind of navigating the terrain. Oprah hasn't stopped. She's got a podcast, like she hasn't stopped. She knows her footing. Like she knows she's going to do what's easy and effortless to maintain her freedom. Notice how she's adding things. It feels very intentional. She made that decision long ago on the Oprah show, Oprah Winfrey show, actually, to like do it with intention, show topics with intention. And then it kind of set the course for like being a show that people really resonated with, and it grew and grew and now billionaire status. So so if you miss that you can do whatever you want and become a billionaire, I hope you got that. I hope you get it now. You can make your way however you want. Let no one tell you otherwise. You can make your life into whatever it is that you want it to look like and be like. And at any point, not only are you at choice, but you are at the seat of creatorship. You are a creator in every single moment. And with your thoughts, you are deciding one way or the other, right? Um, and and I think where freedom lives in that kind of chronic decision making so that it doesn't turn to fatigue, it turns to freedom when you know that this is the point of the ride. This is the journey. This is the point. This is what you chose. This is the experiment that you set out to take part in when you chose to inhabit this human body and come um, in this meat suit and become a human. And you set out to kind of make a way, make a life, make it exactly what you want, right? You're creating the level and rising into new levels, kind of like you're winning a game and you're going to the next level. And at each level, there is this idea of a challenge, right? For sure. And then the ultimate beast opponent, you have to knock them out to get to the next level, right? Because you got to get past them. And so, yeah, there's a lot of hurdles along the way. And then that big opponent, kind of at the end of that level, is what we keep tripping on. And it's that fear. It's the root of your clutter in that area. And so each new level brings about, yeah, a new devil, because you're just being exposed to more of yourself, and where you're limiting yourself, where you would say, you're weak at making decisions and choosing what you want for yourself and calling the shots, and in a way where you're not controlling things outside of your control. The only thing you can control is your response to life. And that is exactly the freedom, right? Knowing that I've got the freedom to be at ease no matter what happens. I've got the freedom to enjoy what unfolds in life before my very eyes, and I choose to see beauty. Um, and so if we're operating kind of in the resistance to that ease and that flow, then we're operating very much in the struggle and the strife, and not the freedom. We're very much opposed to this idea that we can be free. We're very much opposed to the the giving in to our own flow, and we'd rather go with everyone else's. And because we learned early on, right? We needed to belong. We needed to belong. And that is why it goes back to even what I said at the beginning of this, is like, you want to have the conversation with your kids, not only that family is everything and blood is bond and and like, don't lose sight of your family, but you also want them to know that you're okay on your own. You came in this world on your own. Nobody was stuck to you. No next mind, right? You had this framework of your perspective with which to, acquire new assets, new strengths and abilities, on which to borrow new beliefs and make your own and adopt them, and start to live out that way, right? What we see as our references, and the people, when we're the most impressionable, who we see that we respond to, that we um, think are amazing, right? And we aspire to be just like that. And so when we follow that thread, like, oh, I aspire to be just like that, well, you're following a feeling, and you're not following anything else. You don't have to look that way. You could just be that way. And what is that way? It's confidence, it's clarity, it's freedom, it's joy, it's peace, it's love, right? It's what is in you and has been in you all along, carrying you forward. And imagine if you followed that thread of instinct every single time, at every new level, right? Then you can absolutely be free and feel free. Thanks everyone for joining live. We're answering the question. So Keke Palmer asked this question of Oprah Winfrey on her show, on her podcast. What is it that you believe? Or no, sorry, that's Stephen Bartlett. How do you know what freedom really is to you, and when it's time to lay back? Okay, so let's move to the next question. Stephen Bartlett on Diary of a CEO, he asks all his guests. I think in some way, shape, or form. I don't know if he asks it in this same way all the time. I watch his podcast for sure. I listen to quite a bit of episodes, but he asks, and I believe, especially to get the audience interested in the topic, maybe so far fetched as this, or a topic kind of understated or misunderstood, not as controversial. He asks this of his guests, and because I don't think he asks this to everyone, but maybe he does, maybe he has for a while. I don't know. But anyway, this particular question: what is it that you believe, know, or understand that most people out there don't believe, know, or understand? And the reason why he can get away asking this question of everyone is because we all believe, know, and understand something that we think we're alone in. The minute that you express yourself in all ways, always, is that you're always letting people know, you're allowing people to know what you believe, know, and understand. Not that you need it, right? I think there is a level to social media where it's like people cling to it. People need the validation. It didn't happen if I don't post it. It didn't happen, or it wasn't truly a transcendental experience if I don't share it with the world, right? It doesn't matter until I share it. And we know that's not true, right? But there is some level to which we're repressing some aspect of expressing ourselves. Either we don't feel like we're able to, we're not in the environment around the people, the company, um, that would allow us the freedom to do that, to feel like we can be bold and say what we believe, know, or understand, and not be ridiculed, criticized, ostracized, um, put out, right, for saying that out loud. I think, and there's a freedom being able to being able to express that, right, and come clean with all of that, and really not hold any clutter in your beliefs, because the more you kind of say it and reveal it and be honest, then you realize how simple and true it is. And what when other people who understand you and they come to know and believe, maybe like you do too, then what you are believing, knowing, and understanding is the simple truth. And so that's the thread that connects you. It's not all the other stuff. It's not all the gossip and the judgment and the resentment that connects you. Commit to commiserate with somebody is just to, yeah, focus on the negative for sure. But why you keep doing it is the way that it makes you feel. Why you keep going back to those gossip conversations when you're trying to not be a gossip is, um, you want the love, you want to belong, you want to feel understood and acknowledged, you want to laugh, right? And so I think that's what draws us to these groups, right? Is we want to laugh, we want to love, we want to bond and feel connected. Those are core desires of our heart, and of our ego. And our ego will steer us in any which way if, we're not collected and grounded and rooted into like the universal truth of who we are. We can definitely find ourselves going down the path of external validation, needing others to tell you that you're okay, needing others to tell you that you made the right choice, needing others to tell you what the right choice is, versus knowing it from within, because that is going to always be what's true. Granted, we can hear from the sounding board for sure. I don't know. Do I need a board of advisors one day in my business? I don't know. I don't know that yet, but it seems cool. I would love that. I think that's really neat to kind of have some level of expertise in all the different areas that maybe I don't bring with me, for this external world, for living in this world and excelling in this world. But does that define you? Does it make you believe differently about yourself, what they say? Um, Hopefully not, right? So when I heard that question asked on this one episode that I found really amusing and impactful and interesting, not to say that I agreed with everything. In fact, I think it just kind of proved some of my theory about life, this particular episode. But he did ask the guy, what is it that you believe, know, or understand that most people out there don't believe, know, or understand? And I journaled about it. So I want to share with you what I was journaling about, because I was like, what is it that I believe, know, or understand that most people out there don't believe, know, or understand? I don't think there is such a thing. I think we know deeply the simple truth, right? The universal truth we talked about. I think we all know it, and how we get to it, right? How we root down and drill in and dissect to get there is different. Um, but I guess immediately I came up with a lot of things. But what stood out the most was that life is not happening to you, it's happening because of you. I don't think enough people want to take ownership of their lives. And I mean this in the most benevolent way. because I think I want everyone to feel free, right? Free of the burdens that hold you down, um, free from the beliefs that keep you small, um, or the clutter that keeps you stuck and heavy and overloaded, um, and and that's in relationships, that's in your health, wellness, wealth, right? There's clutter everywhere, if you allow it, right? If you allow it in. And the law of karma, or the law of cause and effect, which is a universal law, or you can call it a hermetic law, says that consciousness is cause. Okay, so consciousness is cause. So you are the consciousness that it speaks of. So for every effect, there's a cause. And wherever your consciousness is where your creative power is. And you are thereby producing the effects that you see. So um, if you have any questions on that, let me know. But uh, I'll go on. We might think that the cause is outside of us, but we are the co-creators with God for our lives. And so um, it's, you know, life is definitely happening, but it was put in play. It was put in motion because of you. And you chose to kind of come into this earth, in this body, and have this human experience. So not only that, not only did kind of the volition start there, but the perpetual motion of energy, right? What kept going as a result of that singular decision kept things spinning, and then that spun with other things, and then you met up with other ideas and concepts, and then you started to form new beliefs and ideals, and then now you're where you are, right? Because all of that stuff started attached itself to you, and you took it on as an identity, and your beliefs become your behavior, and this led you to where you are today. And that is, I think it feels very like it's confronting. Like for a lot of people, I would think that it feels like, well, okay, so it's me. How do I get out of here? How do I move forward with my life or get unstuck if I don't know that I'm stuck, or why I'm stuck, or why I keep repeating this cycle over and over again? Why do I keep doing this to myself? Right. Um, and it's that's a sign that we're in the way of that clarity, right? We're standing in the way of seeing through that which has us confused and unsure and uncertain, because um, we're trying to like define it and label it, when it's almost the the stepping back and allowing life to unfold, and seeing where you step in, based on the residual effects of your earlier cause. And then it's like, okay, well, then what next? Right. Right. But it's all, what next comes from what now. It's acknowledging what's now that leads to what's next. Um, let's see if I can make sure that that's clear. We can be down low in our consciousness and our awareness of self. We could be down low in vibration and energy, and self assuredness and confidence, right? We could feel down low. And from that place, the effects that we see, right, in our physical world, um, are reflections of that. The minute we have a good day, or wake up on the right side of the bed, or have something beautiful happen to us, do we rise? And then it's kind of like, okay, well, then from that effect, then we see that the effects are better, right? And we're just kind of climbing the the levels of consciousness, if you will. Like we're experiencing the highs and the lows, and we're following it as if it's going to tell us something or mean something, and so we're following it, and so it is like a roller coaster ride. And yet the roller coaster ride doesn't have to be your only reality, right? Because there's also the observer as part of the equation. Um, Let me make sure I'm bringing this back. If you recognize the shift from low to high vibe consciousness, right? Then you then you see the difference. You can feel the difference in how you feel. And therefore, like, oh man, okay, I want to be here all the time. I want to feel this good all the time. And I had a great workout today and it gave me endorphins. And I had a great healthy meal today and it made me feel really proud of myself and good in my body, confident in my skin. And, and that makes me feel alive, makes me feel very present to the moment. What it makes you feel is grateful that you put in play all the decisions and made all the turns, made all the choices that led you to feeling this good right now, right? So then you always knew that you were at cause, because you know that when you change simple habits and little behaviors that you can affect some sort of change in your life, right? Just simply going to church every Sunday is part of a change that you wanted to see in your life, and so you made that decision and now you're doing it and now it feels good, because it's like, whoa, I've been consistent on this thing. um, and it's kind of like that's what you needed to prove to yourself. We set out to kind of prove it to ourselves that we can, maybe do something to change our state, and we can, right? We've proven it time and time again that we can, that we are very much, um, able to drive the ship a little bit. And so we know that, right? Well, if the feeling of being there in the high vibe is akin to gratitude, and gratitude is something we can cling on to, because then we're starting to, recognize the association with what we've chosen and how the feedback was positive. So we can give gratitude for that. Well, moving up the ladder of consciousness, moving up and ascending to higher vibrations, energy, joy, love, peace, all the good that flows, is a gratitude away. So yes, powerful, um, practice is gratitude, right? A gratitude journal. I have a different way of going about a gratitude logging than a gratitude journal, but that's a different time. What I want to just make sure, I'm clearly expressing is that the gratitude is kind of the rung up, right? It's the way up. And so when we feel low vibe, it's hard to find something to be grateful for. It is, right? I admit it. It's hard to find something to be grateful for because you are like, no, I'm down here and I don't really know how to pull myself out. Sometimes that feels good to stay there and kind of wallow a little bit and just feel the feels there. And then it's like, okay, I don't know what to do. Then you start seeking kind of the external validation. Maybe you run to the sugar, the sweets, right? The salty snacks, the sex, the substances, you supplements, right? Whatever you think, because you found that you're not enough. You're not doing enough, you're not being enough. And then instead of choosing to find the beauty, find the joy, which is tethered to consciousness, which is tethered to source, God, creation, right? Um, we we lose the thread. We lost the tie. And so when we choose to see, oh, my way out of this is like, what do I have, right? This is where what you have is enough comes in. This is where, going back to basics comes in. This is where simplifying down to the bare minimum comes in. I mean, if you catch my drift, we're coming down, to like, what can I hold on to right now when I feel really low? Um, you look around. So I look around and I'm feeling my way through to the next thing that I can be grateful for. And that is, well, I'm so grateful for, that I have a roof over my head. Oh, oh, what a lightness. I feel lighter just saying that. I'm grateful that my kids are healthy and they're safe right now, right? And they're enjoying their childhoods. I feel really happy. Okay, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful I look outside and I see green. I love green. I love jungles. I love all that. And I'm just picking one by one, and I can keep going. And I think that is the ultimate time to start to find what you're grateful for is in those moments, and that will immediately pull you out. And you follow that through, and you're golden. You're flying high. It's a great day. And what are you talking about? You woke up on the wrong side of the bed. That's not my experience. I'm, like even if I did, it doesn't matter because life is good. And that's the freedom that we were talking about this whole time, at the decision, at the fork in the road, at every fork in the road, which is often, we're making a decision. And yeah, and we're deciding to, i'm I'm going to sound cliche, we're deciding to choose life. We're deciding to choose life over, yeah, I mean, all the yucky stuff, um all the guilt, the shame, the isolation, the things that would kind of perpetuate us staying low. We're choosing to live, right? And to ascend and to um, operate in our highest vibration, in our brightest light, as closely resembling God, right, as we can. That is when it feels like, oh man, okay, this really works. And imagine if you do that, right? It's not always what we might choose. Don't, and this is me. I used to throw the biggest pity parties in my own mind. Nobody necessarily knew about it, but I would throw the biggest pity parties. It was like my thing. Um, I learned early that that wasn't helping me. I would say it was around my quarter life crisis would be when I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna throw those anymore. Those aren't as fun as like being happy. Um and taking ownership, right, for my life and my decisions, and controlling what I can control, because I recognize, I think we want to be in the driver's seat. I recognize that, more so as a mom right now. I recognize we do, right? We do want to be in the driver's seat because we want to control the pace. We want to go fast, or we want to go slow, or we want to go there and we want to go there, and we want to shoot up to the sky as fast as we can, as soon as we can. And it could feel like, things are taking too long. And um, what what is wrong with me that things are taking too long? And um, and I think that that is what I felt in Kiki's question when she did ask, when do we know we have freedom? I felt kind of that idea of like, well, when can I stop trying to go higher? Um, and I think that's still like an externally motivated concern. We are still wanting to measure up to other people's expectations of us, what they've told us we can be, what they told us we should be, what they told us we're not, right? We want to kind of like, um, either we're out to prove them wrong, or we're okay proving them right, right? If it's something that has motivated you to just keep going, keep the faith and keep going no matter what people say. Maybe what they said was motivation for you to keep going. But I would say that when we do recognize, like, how much more do I have to go, and how much more work do I have to put in until I am free, until I can, like, yeah, retire. Because as if retirement, some suit once said retirement is when you can stop working, and then we just like clung to that idea instead of like making freedom now, and choosing our path now, and choosing when we lay our feet up, like, okay, I'm not sure I subscribe to that anymore. But anyway, it's like when you realize, oh, I have to keep moving, I have to keep going this pace. Um, you're no longer in the driver's seat at that point. I have to keep going this pace. In fact, you've let like what are those cars, those self-driving cars? You let that take over, because you're like, okay, keep the speed. Okay, I hired a team. I have everybody on my payroll now. Keep the speed, everyone. Okay, because I need to live my life this way, and it requires you to stay this pace. And you're hinging right all your success on everybody else doing their job. And so, how many more people do you now have to control for you to still live a life of freedom? When I recognize that kind of, we see it that way, then I'm immediately transported back to the pity parties, right? The pity parties, that I would throw, which was like that was lacking confidence in myself. That was me, unsure of myself, me thinking, that yeah, there was something wrong with me. That was definitely self talk in my head, um, early in my life. What's wrong with you? But I transported myself back into that lack because what does that say about me? I'm not enough. I'm not there yet. I can't be there unless I do this. Um, and when we are at our lowest vibration, it might feel like what we have to do are all those things just to keep afloat, all those things when all it was gratitude. All the doing there was gratitude. And that is probably the doing in giving gratitude is probably the most balanced, effortful thing ever in the world. Balance being of masculine and feminine, meaning both masculine and the feminine find satisfaction in gratitude, right? Um, because there is this like um, outward expression of love that satisfies the masculine that wants to see results. Because what did it just do? It just brightens your whole day. And then inside, it's like confidence and, oh man, I'm here. I am present to my life. And that feels very connected and grounded in home for me. So I would say that when you simplify life down to the most minimal effort, life is effortless. And it's less effort, right? To live a life of freedom and meaning and joy and love, and passion and purpose. Uh, right? It's pretty exciting. Okay, I feel like we're at our time. Thanks guys for coming on. I love seeing you guys. There was no questions. Nobody really asked any questions. I think if you do have questions when you watch the replay, please comment them below. Because I think we went into really big, really big conversations around two questions that podcasters who, I appreciate. Stephen Bartlett on Diary of a CEO asked, Keke Palmer of Baby, This is Keke Palmer. Keke asked Oprah, how do you know what freedom really is to you? And when is it time to lay back? Stephen Bartlett asked his guest, what is it that you believe, know, or understand that most people out there don't believe, know, or understand? I definitely encourage you to write that in your journal today. Like sit with yourself, like I did, sit with yourself. And that question, what is it that you believe, know, or understand that most people out there don't believe, know, or understand? And if you are trying to build a business, ask yourself this from day one, and your business will take off. And people will resonate right to that truth of who you are. And that's what people want. They just want to get to know you, right? In order to do business with you, they don't buy a product, they buy a person, right? They're buying into a person's. I think that sounds bad. That sounds really bad, actually. Oh, there I go again in my human, thinking about all the woes of the world when I said that by a person. Hmm. One of the ugliest things about, can I say, do I say humanity? It's an ugly thing. Anyway, are we out? Are we out? Okay, next week we're going to talk about, it's all about money. I don't know. I hope so. I'm going to pull the questions together about money and try to answer them all, because why not? I mean, right? If the simple truth is a unified truth, it's it's a universal truth, and we can kind of get to the nuts and bolts of money too, right? Um, okay, so we are out, fam. Thanks for joining me. Submit your question at clarityhotline.com. If you have a question for this particular episode, leave it below. And I think that's it. Thanks for coming on. Next week, see you Thursday, 12 noon Pacific, for another Clarity Hotline. Peace. All right, so Instagram's off. We have the floor, YouTube. I love our after hours, but I do have a sick little guy in the other room, and so I don't want to go too long. And we didn't even meet the hour mark, so this is just, we're getting into it for about 10 minutes. We have some time, so we can try to go to a full hour, or until he comes walking in the room and is like, mommy, what's going on? You're taking so long. This is part of the balance, right? This is part of balancing business and motherhood. And I will say, at the top of his sickness, I was so sad. I started this episode just saying, like, my world was upside down. I literally could only parallel it to that, because the two most important things, right, to me right now, well, of my three top priorities in life, the two are running my business, right, serving my audience, serving my people, my tribe. Like, it really truly does mean the world to me. It is part of my world, right? It's part of my purpose, my walk in life. Like, my purpose actually is what I'm doing right now. I completely 100% is, I'm attached to that idea. I cling to the work that I do in the world, is not only on myself and through myself, but like out to the masses. If I, can be so bold to say that I want to affect, well, over a mil, so at least a million have been, I guess, impacted by me. So, and I say that modestly, just because I have been in business a while. So, um, however I've touched people, right? Um, it's been in those numbers. But so what I want to do is maybe, right now, I really want to impact the lives of a million mothers. So, mothers in particular, I'd love to impact a million mothers, enlightening their mental load, enlightening the burden and the burnout that I think of as a rite of passage, like almost like this is the only way. And so, um, why I bring that up is, like, my son let's say he walks in here because he's like tired of waiting for mommy to finish her call. Then that's okay for me, with me, um, because he's my priority, and so is my business. So at some point, if they're both my priority, then I can't keep them separate. I can't let them compete in a way that cannibalizes the other. I have to let them coexist. And I really am into that. I'm into normalizing, hey, I'm a mom too. In fact, I want to help other moms. That's how passionate I am about this. But all the while, still doing the work of decluttering minds, still doing the work, because at the end of the day, that is work to be done as a mother, thinking that the only way through motherhood is to grin and bear it, and to feel underappreciated, and feel resentment toward anyone who blocks you from um, feeling at home in yourself. That's what postpartum depression does. We feel separate from ourselves. We don't know. We can't really assimilate. We can't orient ourselves to the new life, this new normal, right? I think that's a lot of the underlying burden in postpartum depression. And then an identity crisis, shifting from one identity to the other. I was an entrepreneur who became a mom, right? And this is like what I was, and then now I'm a mom. And how do I reconcile the two? How do I do both? Was my question in the early days. And Man, I quickly figured out what keeps me balanced, sane, and whole through this. And the more I come back to it, right, almost like my ritual, coming back to it, it does make the road easy and more enjoyable. So yeah, I think there are these kind of dark nights of the soul, and I think we have them on repeat, maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. Because what it almost is doing is when you're clear on your purpose, what it's showing you is connecting you to the pain you're still addressing, you're still curing, you're still healing. Um, because you still have a message around. And we, as creators, inventors, thought leaders, want to spread our message because we believe it holds a key for someone out there that will change their lives and make life easier and make what you do feel like it matters. I think that's what we want to feel in life, is that we matter, that that we matter to someone. And I think, it's very clear that as a mother, you matter to this person who needs you to just find their way. Like they very much need you. They need their parents. They need some guidance. They need somebody to provide for them until they can provide for themselves. So it's clear, right? The feedback is pretty immediate when you become a mom, that like, okay, this responsibility is here, and it's clear I matter. And so I'm going to step up to the plate, because I know that I matter there, right? And so there's no strain on you to step up to the plate, but it's when things are starting to be thrown at you that it's like, whoa, now it's like, whoa, how do I stay here firm on this plate of mine that I've taken on for myself? I stepped onto the plate willingly, and it's like, okay, how do I stay firm, grounded on, and centered while dodging everything that is coming at me? And that is everything that is coming at you. Truly, everything is coming at you. And so you get to decide what you won't let come at you anymore. Boundaries, um, saying no to more things, simplifying what you allow to come at you, what you allow to take your time and attention away from this particular plate of you being mother. And so it feels like a juggling act, because as they start coming at you, you start, okay, can I juggle this all at once? And all these balls are in the air, and you're worried one's falling over there and things are falling through the cracks, and you're losing sight of ultimately why you did this in the first place, um, why, same with business, why you did this in the first place. You're like, why this? I just built another job, another 9 to 5. I'm an employee, right, to this, instead of like being the boss. So it's like we basically, with all these balls juggled in the air and not really knowing what is really the most important of the balls. Should all of them drop at once, what three will you hold to your chest and make sure you at least can do that, hold them from falling, right? Three is manageable. uh, did I close that? Did I close that loop? Three priorities. Balls are dropping. Everything's up in the air. Yeah, it feels like a lot to keep having to juggle the everything up in the air. That you really do want to simplify. Oh yeah, the kind of some of the rules for motherhood, the rules of the modern mother. If you want to, let me not even say rules. It bugged me the minute I said it. The principles for um, a present motherhood, an enjoyable motherhood, a beautiful, enjoyable motherhood. So um, it does require us to do those things. And that is very much shedding and letting go, right? Because we're letting things fall to the ground. I talk a lot. I used to, especially in the early days as a new mom, talked about Tiffany Dufu's book, and I'll bring her up again because it really did impact me. That was a beautiful, profound thought, because she has a book called Drop the Ball. And so even in my analogy of drop the ball, as we're saying this, juggling, right? juggling all these things in the air is that's kind of what motherhood feels like a lot of the time. And she's saying at some point, you've got to drop some balls. You got to drop the ball. You don't have to be the one in control of everything. You're not the only parent. You're not the only one who looks out for them, can look out for them, can make sure they're safe, fed, and happy, and enjoying their childhood. If anything, what we want to make sure that we remember, we're not when we kind of farm out some help. It's not that we are looking for something or someone to replace us as mother. I think the present mother wants to just supplement herself. And I think Keke Palmer does want to supplement her motherhood, right? I think she's finding the ways in which she can let me hand that off so that I can go do my podcast, right? Because that was what she had to choose. I think her son, I mean, I don't know, is he, maybe he's 4. I don't actually know, but I'm trying to do the math in my head of what I know to be around the time that she was pregnant, or had the baby. So I'm imagining. So then, as she's starting to release herself from being with the baby 24/7 because baby is getting older, I felt confident in my nanny when my youngest was 2 to have a nanny, and or I think maybe even earlier than that, but just to help. But at 2 years old, there's a lot that the nanny can do. Watch him waddle around and be curious and do those things that I felt fine being with my infant and seeing that at least he got to do that. Right. And she wasn't invasive or intrusive. And she just let him kind of roam and she supported him, made sure he didn't fall, right? Just was there. Even though sometimes he did fall. He's a little guy. He would just run and run, and I remember his little sneakers, and he'd just run and run and trip and fall, and then get right back up. And she was there to like, you okay? Okay, are we good? Okay. No scrape knee. And so things like that, and that felt good, right? I could relinquish control for that, right? Um, it didn't mean that I wasn't in bed wishing I could have been out there with him. Trust me, that was part of my PPD. Um, that was rough. I really missed my toddler. But I mean, I was definitely in my baby bliss bubble. I love my babies. I love when they're babies. But man, their toddler waddle is it the best thing in the world? It's the best thing in the world. A toddler waddle. I said it here, folks. The best thing in the world is a little toddler waddling, especially when that's your heart right there, just waddling away from your body, and you're just sitting like, oh my gosh, this little human just takes my breath away. Reminds me that I'm here and we're doing this, and this is okay. Let's make this matter. Let's make some moves that feel very important. And I'm not going to flitter my precious moments away anymore. I'm definitely going to live more deliberately. I will tell you that much. It definitely teaches us that. Okay, so we are at the hour mark, and or a little bit over. And I just promised YouTube we'll always have an after hours for as much as we can do it, because I just think it's fun. I think it's cool to have this time to ourselves. If you're on YouTube, it's kind of a little perk for watching live on YouTube. Okay, so that'll do it. Peace. See you next week. ClarityHotline.com.